Hello, this is Julie Ann and Life with Collective Purpose. And today I have Laurin Witting. Witting, I said that wrong. Is that correct how I say your name?
No, it's Wittig. There's no N in it.
Wittig.
I get called Witting a lot, so that's okay.
Laurin Wittig. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Laurin, because I think I would love to our audience to understand a little bit more. You know what? I'm going to start it again. Let's just start again.
That's fine.
Yeah, we're too. Hello, and this is Julianne and Life with Collective Purpose. And today I got Laurin Wittig with me. Laurin, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Me too. Me too. Tell our audience about what you do and who you are and your organization.
Yeah, I'd love to. My name is Laurin Wittig, and I'm an intuitive healer. I have a healing practice that's called Heart Light Wellness. And I've been doing that for I've been doing it for a long time, but I've been doing it out in the open for about 4 years or so. And I love working with my clients. It's such a joy. I have been an author in the past. I have books out, but I'm no longer writing those. And I am the founder of the Williamsburg Wise Women's Circle, which was one of my pet projects that I started at the same time that I started my practice back in 2018. And it came out of a real yearning for community. And I know that's part of what this collaboration part of it that your podcast is about. But this community was just women who, a lot of us had been hiding our gifts from the world, and we needed a place to get comfortable with them and to be supported in our getting comfortable. And it turned out to be such an amazing community that friendships have, sustained through the pandemic. And I'm still I get regular sorry, I'm tripping over my tongue this afternoon. I get regular texts from members saying, when are we going to start it up again? Because we did go on hiatus during the pandemic. It just didn't work on Zoom, I think, because we're so used to being in each other's personal company. But it's just this amazing community that has its life is continuing, even though we haven't met as a group in 2 years now. So
wow.
So those are the main things I do.
I love what you say about a wise women's circle, because we were talking about the power of people coming together, and of course the name of my podcast is Life with Collective Purpose,
right?
And the conversations I'm having with people is, how do we come together to have a collective purpose? Because when we do come together as a community, we can do a lot of things together. Especially women can do a lot of things when they come together in community.
Yeah, traditionally women always came together and worked together. We had sewing bees, and we had, people that would butcher the hog, and the women would all get together to process the meat and render the fat and all that kind of stuff. I grew up in a family that was very heavy on the feminine energy, because my mom was the oldest of 4 sisters and 1 little baby brother. And my dad had 2 sisters, and I have predominantly female cousins. Right. It turned out that way. So I was used to being in my family's from the deep South, from Mississippi, and so I was used to being in this very tight knit community of women. And to this day, my aunts, my mom's sisters, are still such an important part of my life, even though I don't see them very often. We stay in touch, and it's such a lovely thing to know that you've got an elder around who's wiser than you, because they've seen more than you and they've done more than you. and they're all getting pretty old these days, but I love spending time with them. It's always a joy. So I yearned for that same kind of community, that where you're going to be loved and accepted no matter what. There's no judgment. It's just living in that energy of women. It's amazing. So that collaboration of women is such a natural thing to do. And our present society doesn't really support that.
That's so true. That's so true. And we were talking earlier about the divine feminine, and what happens when people, when women come together in a group. what happens with their divine feminine, when you start to share from that place.
Yeah.
What do you find when you have these women all together in your wise circle? How does that show from a divine feminine perspective?
Well, first of all, it's that non-judgment.
Yes.
So it's just pure loving acceptance. And so that makes it a very safe place to explore who you are, who you want to be, what's working, what's not working. I was going through the last few years of my mom's life when I formed that community. And it was very difficult because she had dementia and she was a narcissist, which was like a double whammy. And I was the one who, me and her husband, were the ones taking care of her. And I was the one that got beat up the most.
Wow.
By her, which was fine. I mean, not physically,
Yes.
but just emotionally.
Yes.
I needed that community in the worst kind of way. And I was the leader. I would come in and I'd say, we're going to talk about this today because this is what I need to talk about.
Right.
And sometimes I would burst into tears just as trying to describe what we were going to talk about. And everybody was like, and they didn't go, oh, it's okay. They didn't go, don't cry. They just sat there and allowed me to have that moment
Beautiful
of release. And that's not something I get in the day-to-day world at all. But it was also, it taught me that being vulnerable was really powerful. And that's a very much part of the divine feminine energy, is this vulnerability to be yourself, to allow others to be themselves without judgment, without judging ourselves or judging anybody else. And it creates bonds. It creates heart bonds. It's not just, the neighbors that I like a lot and we chat when we're out on the street. It's a real heart bond. And I think that's all part of the divine feminine. Beautiful. It also creates creativity.
Yes.
Which is, we are the most creative thing on this earth, in terms of humans, because we create new life as women. We have that capacity. And many of us have done that more than once, even. So bringing that creative energy into conversation, into relationships, into problem solving, into, what else do we want to do as this community? Those sorts of things, that creative energy, I think, is a huge part of the divine feminine. And it's so needed right now, because one of the ways that it can be used is to overcome disparate opinions. It's how do we get creative about talking to each other? Yes. Instead of just spitting at each other all the time. How do we get creative about finding a common ground?
Wow. Yes.
You know?
And we found a platform for that, didn't we, Laurin?
Did, yes. We did.
We did. So we've just been talking about doing a collaborative book where we can gather all these people, these beautiful women that can share their stories about their divine feminine. And I think that this is just a beautiful thing to do, to be able to use that creativity as a group, sharing the stories of the divine feminine, and how that divine feminine has expressed itself in our lives. And I think that's going to be an amazing project. Do you want to talk a little bit about we were talking about the dealing with the toxic masculine, and how you deal with that to be able to bring back in the divine feminine and find that right balance. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I get a lot of information in meditation. And so I don't know exactly where this concept came from. Maybe I dreamed it up myself. I don't know. But for quite a number of years now, 6 or 8 years, maybe longer, I've been talking about how we need to find a balance between the divine masculine energy and the divine feminine energy. And it's out of balance. And then you add the toxic masculine in, and it's way out of balance. And so I've been talking about how we're going to have to bring it into balance, but initially we may need to overbalance and bring the divine feminine into a bigger space in our community, in our culture, in our world. I think maybe the whole universe, but definitely on the earth. And then eventually we'll be able to come back to a real balance.
Yes.
And so it's so important that we consciously begin to bring the divine feminine energy into our lives, into our families, into our communities, into our thoughts, into our prayers, into our meditations, into everything. We need to bring it into everything.
Yes.
And so it's really important. I also told you that not too long ago, I thought, I've been using this term for a long time and I'm not sure I understand what I'm talking about. So, so I did ask for, I talk to my guides regularly and I asked for them to bring me information about what is the divine feminine. And all of these people started coming into me. I don't think I said at the beginning, among the many things I do, I have a podcast called Curiously Wise. So I've had all of these guests come in that are experts on what the divine feminine is throughout history or from a cultural aspect or so. I mean, it's just incredible. And I've had books come to me and articles come to me. It's just, I love it. You go, I need, and they go, okay.
Hang on. What better way to get this out to the world than to do a book which is 15 women talking about the divine feminine. So we have been talking about a project where we will be inviting 15 women, potentially a few more, but 15 is our goal, that will share their stories of their divine feminine. The book will be a project that we will do collaboratively and collectively. So it's one of those projects where it's a beautiful way of sharing our stories, but then actually publishing those stories. And in partnership together, we're going to be facilitating a couple of workshops and groups where we have a supportive circle where we can share the stories, we can talk about the stories, and then I help and assist with the actual writing and then editing and finally the publishing of those stories. So I'm really excited that we're going to be doing this, Laurin, because it feels like it's a really great way to, like you say, bring more balance of the divine feminine by sharing our stories in this way.
Right. And one of the values of the Wise Women Circle for me was that we all had similar experiences, but we had different expressions of those. We had different ways that we work through them, or different, it may have been the same kind of thing, but we experienced them in a different way. So I think the idea of women talking about their experience, it's personal for each, but then the reader can go, oh, yeah, I've had that happen. I didn't know that's what that was. Or, oh, I'd like to try that and see if that brings in. So it gives you that feeling of, not that there's a right or a wrong way to do it. You can express it however you express it.
Yes.
And it's going to be personal. It's going to be what you need to express and what your gifts and your passions are about. That's going to be the way it gets expressed.
That's
so
beautiful.
I love that it's, it gives you permission to do it your own way.
And there's, and it is very beautiful when you can talk about the divine feminine from 15 different perspectives, and including you, that would be 16 different perspectives. Because as you say, people do, look at stories and look at the divine feminine from different perspectives. And so, instead of when you have one book, that's got one author, then you're reading that one perspective. And here, we've got this beautiful collective of women that are going to be coming together and sharing their stories from different perspectives. So I think this is a great way of helping people to understand more. What is the divine feminine? How do you bring it into your life? And why is it so important? Oh my God, the divine feminine is so important. How can you tell people how important it is?
Yes. Yeah. And it's such a healing energy too. It's so nurturing. It's so, it brings balance. We have so much masculine energy that we need the balance of it.
Yes.
And it's going to be the best possible thing for humanity to bring balance into this. Yeah.
It really is. And I think, as women, a lot of women that are in business, it's even more important to be operating our businesses from the divine feminine. I know myself that when I go into the masculine, it makes things a lot more difficult than if I just surrender to my feminine. And and sometimes that feels that feels strange because, like you say, it means that you have to be vulnerable. And, you know, here I am I'm in Puerto Vallarta, and, you know, I'm running a retreat center here, and all of my staff are male. You know, a lot of Mexican men. That's a lot of testosterone in my
Yes.
building.
Oh my.
And so, you know, it's I see that if I do go into my masculine, that I don't get anywhere near the same results than when I go into my and really embrace my divine feminine. And when I embrace my divine feminine, all of that testosterone really works very well.
Right.
They respond to that much better than when I go into my masculine.
Right. Yeah, I can tell when I've gone too much into my masculine because I get a little frantic. It's like
me too.
Because it's like I need to get this done, and I've got these things, and I've got this much time, and I've got to do it in this order, and that's not the way I work.
Exactly.
That's not the way I work. I'm not linear. I don't think linearly. I think in images and sensations and metaphors and and a circular.
Yes. I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same. So and it's really interesting to find that balance when you've got deadlines, right? When you're just like, okay, well, I've got this deadline and I've got to get this done. And so it's very easy for you to kind of fall into that masculine, get it done, instead of just surrendering into the divine feminine and getting it done in a much more loving, compassionate way, right?
So can I share with you a little story about how I did that when I was writing novels?
Yes.
Because deadlines almost killed me. I just would get so stressed by them. And in fact, I now call them due dates.
Due dates. I like that.
Deadlines. Due dates is more like birthing a child, right?
I like that.
The way I dealt with it was, first of all, to get out of my house, because there's always, there was kids and dogs and husband who worked at home part-time and, all this stuff. But I would meet my very good friend who's also a writer, who also had a husband that was home full-time. And we would meet in a coffee shop with our computers at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning for about an hour. And we'd write together on our own books, but we would just hold space for each other, which is a very feminine energy. Yes. And it was shocking how fast that time went, but how much we got written.
Right.
And I wrote 3 books that way. My last 3 books I wrote in her presence, and she would say, it's not the same if I'm here by myself. I don't get as much done.
No.
But there was a synergy of
it's the collective energy, right?
Yes.
The collective energy.
And we've invited a few other people along the way. And of course that fell by the wayside during the pandemic, but we tried to do it by Zoom, which didn't work quite as well.
Not quite the same.
Yeah, not quite the same. But it was another example of how can I do this in a way that is supporting of me, is honoring the way I need to work versus sitting in my office. I got to get 500 words done in the next hour and I guess, it's like, no, I just need to go and write and enjoy the writing process.
Yes.
So
it's that creativity. It's as we were talking about before, it's embracing that creativity. And that's what happens when we embrace the divine feminine. We embrace the creativity, we come together as a group, and the creativity magnifies, right? Because we're together as a group. So I'm so excited about this. So we are going to have an information call on the 15th of November at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It will be on Zoom. And what we'll be doing is talking about what it would look like for you to get involved in this project and to share your story in this collaborative book about the divine feminine. And so I'm really excited about that. We're going to, we will post a link so that you can get the information to sign up for the Zoom call. Right. And if you are in the Wise Women's Circle, or you would like to be in the Wise Woman Circle,
or you're just a wise woman,
or you're just a wise woman.
I say all women are wise. We may not know it, but we're all wise.
We are all wise. We are all wise.
Yes.
And if you would like to share your story about how you have brought the divine feminine into your life and how that has really changed your life and how it has made things very different to the way that you operate your life, then we would love you to come onto our information call, and we'll tell you more about being involved in the book. I'm very excited about that, Laurin.
I am too. I am too. It's been such a divine feminine connection here, because we didn't know each other a week ago.
I know.
And here we are.
And here we are. We're now doing a book together.
Yes, yes. That is a perfect example of the divine feminine in action right there.
Absolutely.
Bringing
Absolutely.
people together who need each other and work well together. And yeah.
Yes. Yes. And creating
yes. Together collaboratively.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So of course, this is absolutely my theme of my podcast, which is life with collective purpose. And so this is a really good example of how collectively we have a purpose to share more information and to share our stories about the divine feminine, to invite more people to be embracing their divine feminine. Yes. So please join us on the 15th of November. 7 p.m. Eastern time. We will post the Zoom link with this recording in the notes, so that you know how to register to be on the call. And it's just an information call. We're going to tell you more about how you can get involved, what it looks like for you to share your story, and to be in our book. So yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm over the moon about this. This is like made my whole year.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. So Laurin, tell our audience, how do we get in contact with you? How do we work with you? Give us all your contact information.
So the best place to go is my website, which is heartlightjoy.com. And you can email me from there. You can book a free call with me if you just want to chat and see whether you want to chat about the book or you want to chat about what you need from me. I do one-on-one sessions with clients. I have kind of two ways that I work with them. One is just one at a time as you need a session. And then I also have a program that's a 9-week session, a 9-week program that alternates healing work and mentoring work. And I call it Rapid Transformation. So either one of those, there's information about that on my website as well. And my podcast is Curiously Wise. And I'd love you to come and listen to Julianne's episode on that.
Yes, I was also on her podcast. So yeah, we've only known each other for like 4 days, but I know.
I like the speed at which we work together.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So your website is, again, say the name again.
heartlightjoy.com.
heartlightjoy.com. And please engage with Laurin, and please join us on the 15th of November to find out more about being involved in our book about the divine feminine. And Laurin, it was lovely talking to you again.
Oh, I'm so happy that we've gotten to meet and have a couple of really wonderful conversations already.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much. And we will be in touch very soon. And we're looking forward to welcoming everybody onto our information call on November the 15th. Thanks so much, Laurin.
Thank you. See y'all there.